One of the quotes that we've sort of grabbed onto out of that is when he was asked about, what do the Mavs need to do this year? And one of the things that he mentioned was chemistry. When you hear him say that, do you take that as a reference to like comparing his Slovenian team to the Mavericks and their shortcomings, or what pops in your mind when he says that that's the thing they need?
Well, three things that pops in mind. I think he compares it to the Slovenian team, which, for the talent set and the skill set of that team, chemistry obviously was very important. And it's very important whether you're the Michael Jordan's Bulls or the Mavs or, even some of my really good Spurs teams. It matters. So I think that's a part of it. I think the next part of it is, if he's trying to replicate the success that Dirk had in his 20-year career, the really, really good teams that we had, whether it's 2006, his championship team in 2011, even some of the Western Conference Finals teams, or the teams that lost in the Western Conference semifinals, chemistry was a big part of it. And that continuity, everybody buying in, everybody pulling in the same direction. So I think probably in a lesser level, or maybe a major level, I think it's his chemistry with Porzingis, making sure that those guys are on the same page. They want the same thing. They can function together. They can manipulate off defenses and play the right way. So I think it's all three of those levels. So Slovenia team trying to, duplicate the success that Dirk had or exceed it, and then his chemistry on the court with Porzingis.
Can you tell us about, and I know you can, but the troubles of having to coach superstar players now? Is it like, I know when you probably first started your coach, you're like, hey, this is the things you kind of were going through, and you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to handle things. Is it just a massive difference now with what you're having to deal with these superstar players?
Yeah, it's a massive difference, but that doesn't mean that it's bad.
Sure.
The players today, they're different. They're just different. They're not worse. They're just different. And it's different rules. You're like looking at social media. You got all these different social media platforms. You have sports gaming that just come into play. You have all this different type of gaming platforms. It's just different. We didn't have Fanatics and all of this different social media platform. We didn't have Bitcoin. I still don't understand it yet, but we didn't have that. So it's just different. I think the key is all in the individual. When Dirk and I had a chance to work together, I asked Dirk, what do you want? He said, look, I want to have a chance to go to the finals and win a championship. I'd like to potentially rise to that MVP status. That'll mean a lot to not only Mavs fans, but all of my homeland back in Germany. And I just said, look, it's going to be painful trying to get there. It's going to be a lot of hard work. We may or may not be on the same page every day, but, we got to be able to trust each other and work through it. And so I think if a superstar is really all about winning, and he's going to fight through all of the adversity, and even if he doesn't understand the ways that maybe a coach is going about trying to motivate a team or practice or game strategy, but if you trust your coach, trust the front office, trust ownership, you will eventually get there, and especially if you trust that front office is going to put the right pieces around you, you definitely can make it happen.
And Coach, okay, when you were talking about, putting pieces around you and stuff, how much do you have to bend over backwards for these stars? Is it like, do you have to almost compromise things you believe in, philosophies? It's like, man, I can't do this. I gotta, but he's a star player. How much do you have to do that?
Well, it's all about adjustments.
Sure.
It's not necessarily compromise. It's just adjusting. And, maybe you didn't have to adjust, as much for Dirk and Duncan and Robinson and some of the other guys in the past. Maybe you got to adjust a little bit more. In the past, you sign a guy to a contract, the general manager will go in and sign the contract. Now times moves on, the general manager and the coach goes, and now the owner and the general manager and the strength and conditioning coach and the performance trainer and the head coach, everybody goes to Slovenia.
Right.
Get that deal closed.
It's just a different time, and you adjust. You look at what's happening in college sports now.
Right.
It used to be about the school and the brand of the school, but now it's about the brand of the student athlete and the NIL and all what's entitled for that. We saw a kid sign a $1 million contract or whatever with overtime, who I'm an advisor with. You saw a quarterback sign a $1 million contract at my former workplace, Alabama. So it's just you just got to adjust with the times without sacrificing your, the culture of your program and your integrity.
Now, Avery, you are a point guard turned coach. Jason Kidd is a point guard turned coach, and you coached Jason Kidd. What do you expect from him as the head coach of the Mavericks?
Well, I expect Kidd to come in and really, learn from, his entire coaching career. Obviously coached with the Nets and the Bucks, assistant coach with the Lakers, and I expect him to really look at, some of the areas where he can improve as a coach. He's going to get it done. He's going to have a great relationship with Luka. I think Luka was part of the selection process, obviously. So I think this is going to be an opportunity for him to come in, put his seal and imprint on the Mavericks, learn from where they could get better offensively and especially defensively. And we're all who are, our office about a block away from the American Airlines Center. I'm going to attend, 7 or 8 games this year. So we're all going to be excited going to the games, and hopefully he can lead the team into a deeper run in the playoffs.
All right.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you that because Jeff and I had a chance to interview him when we were out in Oxnard at camp, and he was nice enough to come on with us. He told us he wants nothing to do with personnel. Is that you head coaches want everything to do with personnel, don't you?
Yeah, we want to be able to have some, at least an opinion about personnel. And we don't have to be the final decision, but we want our voices to be heard. And I think if we could do that, that makes things run smoother. So you don't have to be the GM, but you want your voices to be heard.
Were there challenges with Mark Cuban, who looks like a very, very hands-on owner? Were there challenges being the head coach with him?
Never. That's the type of owner you want. When I was a really, really good basketball coach, Mark Cuban was my owner. When I wasn't, he wasn't my owner. So,